accesses. They got great rates, as you'll see here in just a minute. But I want to talk to you about the extended hours that we're having at the TPA to get business onboarded for you. So let's go ahead and get started here as soon as I can get my first screen to move. Here we go. Okay, basically you all know that GCU is a kind of a family-oriented type of organization. They got a very good financial balance sheet. They're out of Beaver, Pennsylvania, and they first started in business back in 1892, so they have been around a long time. There is their kind of their financial summary that they use. I've got a new one I need to get on here. It's even a little better than this. If you ever need any of the financial statistics reports that they have, we have those here. Just request them. We'll get them mailed out to you. But they do, as you can see, have over $1 billion balance sheets or asset sheets. So great company. Going to expand this into some more states, I think, in 2017. Currently, you can see the states that they are currently in. They do offer 7% discounts in all states. If you look at the states, it's got the little dot in the middle of them, like Illinois, Ohio, New Jersey. Those are states to where 2 people have to apply to get that discount. But if you're in Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, or the other states down toward the bottom, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, only 1 person has to apply. California, Arizona, 1 person has to apply. So that is a huge benefit to you and I when we're out there selling. So we'll cover that a little bit more here shortly. So let's just go ahead and look at why I think you guys and gals will think this is a good product and company to market for. There's a lot of choices out there today, but as we all know, time is valuable, especially this time of year. I'm going to give you some tips on how to get business onboarded quickly and how you can make this work to your advantage. Very good rates on plans F and G. Like we said earlier, 7% household discount in every state. We actually have people that have contracted in the morning and been able to write business in the afternoon. We have a very, very good contracting system. We've had major carriers come in and ask us to create this for them, but we want to keep it unique to our little circle of friends, as you might call it. So it's a very, very good system, electronic contracting. You've got a great agent portal where you can get a lot of information. I'll give you a screenshot of that here shortly. The telephonic app process, I can show you how to do that in about 15 minutes, and people become members with their first piece of business. So I just want to show you some rates here real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these rates. A lot of people use CSG's quoting tools, or as they've created their own. If you look at Arizona, you'll see that GCU is still very competitively priced. This is a 67-year-old female, a 72-year-old female, with a household discount applied toward the bottom. We start out at $120. With a discount, that drops it down to $112.42. $137 drops about $10 a month off of it, drops it down to $127.60. And again, these are based on a female, 67 years old, non-smoker, lowest area factor. But I want to show you a map of Arizona. This is where we feel like if you're in Arizona and not selling this product, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage, and I will tell you why. Most companies out there include like 852, which is right up there above the A in area in the word area. The 852 is Scottsdale, Mesa, and the Gilbert area. They include that in their higher rate. We do not. We've got that sliced off into the lower rate, even though it's still in the greater Phoenix area. If you go to the left over by the A in the 853 area, you're into Glendale, Peoria, Sun City, all Area 1. Most companies charge that as an Area 2. So if you're at a company that's at an Area 2 rate and we're at an Area 1 rate, if you look over to the left where it says 138.70 and 112.42, stop and think about that. If you're in an 853 area and most carriers are saying, okay, that's Area 2 and they're in a 130-something range and you can come in at 112, there's no reason why you shouldn't be getting that business. If you go south of the Area 2 factor in the bottom of the map, look at that where it says 851. That is in the Casa Grande and the Tucson area down around 857. We're still Area 1. Most companies consider that Area 2. So we have a huge advantage in the state of Arizona for you to market this product. So just want to point that out on how we laid the area out. Only one part of Arizona is Area 1, and that is the greater Phoenix metropolitan area. I also have on the webinar who's answering our questions as we move through. If you look in your upper right-hand corner, there's a little pink or a little orange arrow icon up there. You can click on that and you can type your messages if you have questions as we move through here. We've got another licensed agent on the phone. He's answering your questions as we move through. Name's Todd Weiss, does a great job. He'll be contacting you all after the webinar to see if you need anything. So he's very, very knowledgeable, does a great job answering questions. So that way, when the webinar is over, we can get you back to work. State of California, GCU, 147.78, 67-year-old female, 167.89 for a 72-year-old female. When you apply that discount, we drop down to 131.86 and 156.14. So very, very competitive product in the state of California. Georgia, another state that a lot of companies struggle to get business out of. We're doing a great job in Georgia. State Mutual got a little bit of an advantage there. They're domiciled in Georgia, so that name radiates really well. So does Bankers Fidelity. They are also down in that area. So those two names radiate real well in Georgia. However, when you add the discounts, we come in at 119.72, 135.88 at age 72. Very, very competitive product. So we feel very comfortable with those rates in the state of Arizona, or Georgia, I'm sorry. Okay, in Illinois, 112.87, 133.95 at 67 and 72. Drop that down to 104.97 for a Plan F. Let me tell you, when you can get a Plan F down around $100 a month, that's a great buy. I don't care what state it's in. That is a very, very good buy. So we're doing quite well in Arizona. We are in Illinois. I can't get off Arizona for some reason. Must be wanting to go warm weather. I'm in Kansas City and it's cold here today. So anyway, in Illinois, it's 104.97, 124.57 at age 72. So very good competitive product there also. Indiana, GCU comes in at 114 before the discount, 106.20 with the discount. At age 72, as you can see there, we're at 135.52 with the discount at 126.03. Again, only one person need to apply to get that discount in the state of Indiana. In Illinois, if I went back a slide, two people would have to apply there to get the discount. That's not what we want, but that's what the state says, so we have to abide by that. In Ohio, another state where two people have to apply to get the discount, we come in at 122.16 at age 67. Liberty Bankers just released a product not too long ago. They're at 120.71. However, when it comes to onboarding business, I think you'll see for about $1.50, your benefit is still to write the GCU product. It's a product that's going to get your business issued rapidly. I'll give you some examples shortly. Pennsylvania, another state where we seem to do quite well. 126.14 with GCU. Western Catholic Union comes in at 127.47. Apply that discount. They have a 5, we have a 7. That spreads us out a little farther. We get down to 117.31 and 139.23 at age 672. South Carolina, 110.30 or 110.21 and 130.80. Apply the discounts. We're at 102.50 and 126. I'm kind of buzzing through these guys, gals, because I want to get to the meat of the material. Just want you to know that in a lot of these states, we're sitting in the number 1 or number 2 chair. You'll see some things over on the side where it says number 1, number 2, and then you'll see nothing in Michigan and nothing in North Carolina or West Virginia. So the reason I didn't put anything in there, between the number 1 spot and the number 6 spot in Michigan, there's only $3.17 difference. In North Carolina, between number 1 and number 4, there's only $1.53 difference. So what I'm saying is, in West Virginia, I forgot it, it's there's between number 1 and number 5, there's $3.64 difference between number 1 and number 5. So when you take those facts into consideration, they're basically all about the same price. What does one company do over another company to make you want to write that business with that company? So when we take a look at what GCU does, especially guys, gals, this time of year when we are all crunched for time, we have some tremendous advantages when you take in consideration our telephonic app, our online express app, and the ways you can use both to your advantage. We're going to cover that here shortly. We did have some sit down with the reinsurer of this product. It's a company out of Hartford, Connecticut, a very large company. Most of you know them. I can't tell you who it is, but I can tell you they just bought Coventry and want to buy Humana. So if that helps you out, any of that lets you know that it's a very large company. Anyway, we did send the directive out. If you did not get a copy of this directive, please shoot Todd an email so that we can get this to you. You need to be aware of this. You can view I'm going to show you the app here in just a minute. There are some new questions on the app, and it's been rearranged a little bit to address some more serious concerns that we think are going to drive claims up. And when you have high claims loss, you're going to have rate increases. We want to avoid that at all costs. So we sat down with the reinsurer, the underwriters, and we looked at some of these various conditions and come up with a different system, which I think you'll find very fair. But any application written on the old forms after October the 17th, pay attention to that, are going to get sent back to the agent. There was a little mix-up. The TPA thought it was effective anything after October the 3rd. Well, that's when you could download them off the website. They were thinking any app that was dated after October 3rd, so they've sent a few back. We're getting that corrected. If that affected anything that you've done, let us know. We'll get it reversed for you. We had a long conversation and got that straightened out a couple days ago. So anyway, the new app looks a little bit like this. I'm not going to spend any time on the Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. That's just your simple stuff, name, date of birth, what plan do you want, and the eligibility questions for Medicare. Part 4 is your current insurance situations. Are you on a Medicare Advantage, coming off a Medicare Advantage? Do you have a Medicare supplement? All the standard questions that you see in every application. One of the things that I will point out right here that's very important that you need to make all your policyholders aware of is right up here. This general information says you do not need more than one. Well, that didn't work. What happened here? It says you do not need, here we go. You do not need more than one Medicare supplement or certificate right up here. You got to make your policyholders aware of that because that's going to be asked of them if you're doing the full telephonic app. So if you're doing the Online Express app, you just check that you've made them aware of that. But basically, all you got to do is just let them know that this is a situation where you don't need more than one Medicare supplement policy. If you buy our policy, you always want to evaluate it with your current coverage. And if you go on Medicaid, you have certain rights and privileges. I always tell my policyholders when I read that to them, if you ever go on Medicaid, first thing I want you to do is get a hold of me. Part 6 is your guarantee issue or eligibility. Guarantee issue is always an issue that companies have to deal with. So you have all your scenarios right there that tell you what would trigger a guarantee issue situation. Part 7 is your household premium discount. Are there between 2 and 5 adults over the age of 30 living in the home? If there is, check yes. If there's, you put the name of the adult in the home, their social security number, there's a social security database, and we verify that that is an actual person, and then we give the discount. The premium and payment administration is right below that. Fill out how you want us to address the premium issues. We'll get that taken care of. The requested effective date, I want to take just a minute, and that's right here, guys. I want to take just a minute on the requested effective date and tell you how that works so that your client doesn't get a surprise going down the road. If you write a policy today and it gets approved today and you want a November the 1st effective date, the underwriter is going to discuss something like this with your policyholder. Now, Ms. Jones, we're going to go ahead and draft your first month's premium within the next couple of days. Is that okay? If she says yes, then you should have picked out a bank draft day, and if that bank draft day is between the 1st and the 10th of each month, then they won't get another bank draft until December. However, if you write that policy today and they say, well, we want the bank draft on the 12th of the month, they're still going to draft for that first month, then they're going to draft again on the 12th of November for the December premium. Now, your policyholders will be okay with that if they know it, but if they get a blindside by it, guess who's going to be their first phone call? They're going to pick up the phone and goes, hey, Bill, your company's drafted me twice this month. What's going on? So just let them know any draft after the 10th of the month will get another draft on the date that they request for the following month. The way I always discuss it with my policyholders, and I always get them to draft it, generally speaking, but before the 10th of the month to avoid that double draft right off the bat. So if you have any questions on that, shoot Todd an email. He'll cover it a little more in depth. Okay, so here's the new medical questions on the app. And it, again, is a yes-no application. So we want to know, like, are they dependent on a wheelchair or a motorized vehicle? And I've had a lot of agents say, well, you know, she's really not confined to a wheelchair. She does get up and go to bed. Well, you and I both know that that's going to be a yes answer, and there's no gray area there. So if they're in a wheelchair or have a wheelchair or a walker that you see in the home when you're in there, you know that that's probably going to be a disqualifying question. Just read the questions very carefully, go through them with your policyholders, and I think you'll be just fine. If you look down to question number 6, within the past 36 months, have you been medically diagnosed or treated or had surgery for any of the following? Alcohol or drug abuse. Been doing this 33 years. Very seldom will I have any person answer that question yes. You will get some yeses on these next questions, though. Internal cancer. Most companies will look back 2 to 5 years, just depending on the company. If they've had internal cancer in the last 2 to 3 years, it's going to be a decline. We have the cutoff date at 3 years. So if they've had internal cancer, and let's say it's going to be 3 years cancer-free November of this year, I would go ahead and submit that, and I'd write a note on the app, and I'd say, you know what, they're cancer-free. Last radiation treatment was in November 3 years ago. They're probably going to go ahead and issue that if everything else is fairly clean on the application. Now, if they just had cancer 2 years ago, then that's going to be a decline. So read the questions. They're all spelled out in time frames. The question number 7 goes back 2 years. Have you been medically diagnosed in the last 24 months for a TIA, a stroke, lupus, connective tissue disorder, osteoporosis with fractures? I've had a lot of people that have osteoporosis but never had a fracture. So if you have someone that says, well, yeah, Bill, I've taken medicine for osteoporosis. Ms. Jones, have you ever had a fracture? No. So I can still answer that question, no. Because that's what we're looking for, is the brittle bone system, because we know that causes long hospital stays, that it causes short nursing home stays, and so that's going to be a disqualifier. Then you get down to number 8. Now we're down to the things that have 8, 9, and 10 down to 1 year. They want, you know, we're kind of dropping down on the time frame. If you look at question number 11, within the past 12 months, do any of the following apply to you? Had a pacemaker implanted, had a PSA blood test greater than 4.0 if you're under age 70 with no history of prostate cancer. So we're trying to give you, the agent, as much information on these questions so you can determine if they have had a PA blood test greater than 6.5 and they're over age 70 and no history of prostate cancer, that you know how to answer that question correctly. So, you know, just we put a lot more information on the app. I don't think there's any more disqualifying questions on there, but we want more detail to help you spell out, you know, a potential risk for the company. Listen, nobody wants a policy to be declined. I know nothing used to aggravate me any worse than I'd send in a piece of business that I thought was good, only to find out it got declined. However, as agents, we don't want a company out there that's going to have 15 to 25% rate increases in a 2 or 3 year period either. So we have to drill down on these health questions, and that's our job in the field to make sure that we're doing as good a job as we can in getting as much information as we can. So make sure you do a really good job, because insurance companies, with the regulation in today's world, one of the things that I see here, there's a company up in Nebraska, I won't mention her name, but they got a wooden Indian on their logo. They send us stuff to where they are starting to ask agents, how come you didn't put this on the application? Guys, gals, protect yourself. You've got a little insurance license right there that allows you to make a huge living, a great living. Don't do dumb things that's going to cause you problems. We want to keep you out there selling so that you can make a good living for your family. So take a good look at that application. It is different. You have to start using this no later than the 17th of this month, which is a week from, well, which is Monday, I guess. I think that's the 17th. So you can get by with the old app. However, I wouldn't. If I'm out there selling, I'm going to be using this app right now. That's what we want you to use. It's available on the website. You can download the copy of that new app. If you still got old brochures and forms, just download the new app. You'll be fine. The next page is the medical history. We want the name of their medicine, and when we ask for names of medicines, we want the prescription name, the dosage, the reason they take it, and the last time they took it. So I'll just use my medicine that I take. I use amlodipine. It's 10 milligrams. It's for blood pressure, so that would be the reason taking it, control blood pressure, and the last date I took it was today. So they know if that's a blood pressure medicine, that's a medicine that you don't just take once a week. It's something you take daily. So put the information on there. There's several places there for medications, and you can squeeze a bunch of them in there. So make sure you put the doctor's name and address. I see a lot of applications come through incomplete. They'll have the doctor's name and no address. Well, if most of you have smartphones anymore, you can about find any doctor's name and address with your smartphone. It's amazing what's on those things. So all you got to do is put the doctor's name and the city in, and it'll pull him up. You can get his address and phone number, stick it on there. And you can even do that when you leave. If you're short for time, you can always get that later when you got more time. So anyway, moving right along, the agreement acknowledgement is where we sign it, date it. You guys are all familiar with that. I'm not going to spend any time on it. Let's talk about what we need to talk about, and that is how to submit new business. So you've got several different ways with GCU to submit new business. We have our face-to-face paper app. We have our telephonic express app, and we have a new online express app process that's available to you. Now, the good thing about these guys, gals, is you can use the online express app in either one of the top two scenarios, and I'll show you how I go about doing it and how it speeds up my time and helps me get from point A to point B without a lot of wasted area or wasted space. So anyway, let's talk about the express application. Guys, it's not a drug screen, it's not a pre-qualification call. I had a lot of people say, well, isn't that, just you're calling in to find out whether it maybe is something that I should submit? No, the express application is where we will allow you to take the total application, completed in full over the telephone. At the end of that phone call, you're going to have a policy number or a decline, one or the other. You're going to get an issue or a decline. So it's a very, very good process. It doesn't allow, there's not a lot of paper with it. You don't, except for where like a replacement form is necessary, but I can even show you with the Online Express app how to get rid of that piece of paper. The application is a simplified underwriting application. It's very simple when you use a yes, no, and the telephonic app to your advantage. You're looking at about a 96% issue rate. It says 15-minute process start to finish. I will tell you, if you're doing a complete telephonic app, that's not 100% accurate. You're going to get more like 20 to 21 or 2 minutes if it's fully underwritten. If it's a guarantee issue or open enrollment, 15 minutes will definitely catch it. But this is about as close to an instant issue Medicare supplement policy as I've ever seen. I've been doing this 32 years. Actually, starting my 33rd last month. So some of the benefits of the telephonic application process or the Online Express app is, to you and I, we get immediate results of that sale. Time saver for your client. Client's not sitting there waiting 3 or 4 weeks to find out, did I get approved? Did I get declined? I got nervous. I went ahead and paid my other premium. I hadn't heard anything, things like that. It's also a huge time saver for you and me as agents, because if you've been in this business any length of time, how many times have you written a piece of business, find out 2 or 3 weeks later it got declined? You have to pick up that telephone. You have to call that policyholder up and say, hey, Miss Jones, you got declined. I'm going to be back over in your area tomorrow at 1 o'clock or Friday at 10 a.m. Would either one of those 2 times work for you? And they say, well, you know what, I got declined there. I'm just going to stay where I'm at. Or you get fortunate enough, they say, well, yeah, let's look at something else. Then you have to drive back to their home if you're doing kitchen table selling. You have to drive back and process another app. You have to spin your wheels, redoing what you thought was already going to go through. So you have a lot less time and expense if you know exactly while you're there. You pick up the phone and say, oh, by the way, Ms. Jones, you're not going to get approved for this. You can reach right in your kit, go another direction. Probably none of you interested in getting paid quick, so we won't talk about that, but we do get our guys and gals paid very quickly, and it's a huge way to avoid mistakes on applications. If you're like me and you get talking a little too much, sometimes you forget to fill out all the information on the app and you have to go back and get something signed or initialed. Okay, so kitchen table selling. Now this is for the guy or gal that's sitting there directly in the client's home. Probably about 50% of the business we get today is still direct selling, to where the agent actually goes out, sits down with the client face to face. It's how I grew up. You know, it was all kitchen selling back in the 80s, early 80s when I started. However, today a lot of it is done over the phone, but we're talking about kitchen table selling here. So you complete your agent process. When you get on there, they're going to ask you the several things for you to verify. They're going to make sure you're appointed with GCU, that your license is up to date and current. Once you give them your ID writing number, that'll automatically let them know that there's not a problem, or if there is a problem. They'll get your client's name, what you want for an effective date, what you want for an effective bank draft date, and where do you want that policy sent. Now, guys, keep in mind we're talking about kitchen table selling. I'm going to show you how kitchen table selling can also be a time saver by kitchen table selling, coming back and using the Online Express app if you're short on time while you're in that person's home. So just kind of stay with me here. So do you want the policy sent to you or your client? Yes or no? You can say I want it to me or to them. The city and state that application was taken in, and if you're replacing a policy, they may ask you that question also. At that point, they're going to say, okay, Bill, put your client on the telephone. Now, at that point, the underwriter is going to completely go through the application with your policyholder. So they're going to do all the personal information, all the plan selections and everything. They're going to verify it. And as you can see, there's 10 parts of the application. It's going to take a little while. It's going to take about 15, 20 minutes on that phone. So just remember all of this right here, because when I come to the Online Express app, I'm going to put this back on the screen, and we'll talk about that, how this could be at your advantage. So if you look at 7, 9, and 8, they're out of order. And the reason for that is because once they ask the medical questions and the prescription drug information, they will, at this point, your policyholder's on the phone. You're listening to the conversation. You're sitting there at the kitchen table. They're asking the medical questions. They're yes/no questions. They go through that with the policyholder. Then they go to the premium payment, and you hear them giving their bank draft information. You can breathe then because you know the policy got approved. They will not verify premium payment administration until after they've verified the medical questions. So if you don't hear any premium payment, and after the medical questions they say, okay, I need to speak with your agent, then you need to reach into that kit and be thinking about what you're going to be trying to go from point A to point B, because you're going to get a decline. So that's what I'm talking about, time saving for you. You know right there on the spot whether it's approved. You know you got a policy issued or declined. They'll go through all the agreements, all the fraud warnings and things like that. At that point, they'll pass that phone back to you, the agent. So in this example, let's assume they did verify bank information. We know the policy is approved. Guys, here's one of the most important things when you're sitting there at the kitchen table that you can do for a policyholder to relieve their mind as far as buyer's remorse goes. Once that phone comes back to me, I hit the speaker button. If they don't have a speaker on their phone, I use my cell phone because I got a speaker on it. I want the policyholder to hear from the underwriter, Bill, your policy is approved. Here's the policy number, 2896344. I write that down as she verifies it or he verifies it, and then they'll go through a couple other things, but I want the policyholder to hear that. You cannot do the entire phone call on speaker. They'll tell you to take it off, and I've tried it. It don't work. Don't do it. They're not going to allow it. So, but you can put it on there for the very end just to verify the policy number and stuff like that. Why do I want the policyholder to hear that? because that's the insurance company telling them they're approved, not me saying, I think you're going to get approved. The insurance company says, your policy's approved. I read that back. Let's say I've got Jose on the phone, and he's doing the underwriting. I say, Jose, let me make sure I got this right. The policy number is 2896344, right? Yes. Going to go into effect on November the 1st, 2016, correct? Yes. So, Jose, since we have no waiting periods on pre-existing conditions on our policy, don't you think it would be okay for me to go ahead and let have my policyholder here know that they canceled her other policy? It's okay since we got 11/1 effective date. That's fine. So I'm letting that policyholder know she's approved. Let's go ahead and cancel that other policy. When you walk out the door, you've got to give her a better product, not a better product, it's probably the same product, but you give her the same benefits, quite a bit less premium. You take care of her other policy, getting it canceled so she doesn't have 2 bank drafts coming through. She doesn't need to worry about getting approved. She heard with her own ears it was approved. You can almost virtually eliminate buyer's remorse if you will do that and with that scenario. So the policy gets issued. You and I can move on to our next opportunity, and it's a great, great process. So I'm not going to spend any time on the remote sale, guys, gals, because it's basically the same as a kitchen table, only you're doing a 3-way telephone call. You're on the phone the whole time. You actually get to hear the underwriter. You can help with some of the non-HIPAA type information, but you cannot help with the health questions. They have to be able to do that. So you need to have them prepared. You got to be quiet. Don't coach that policyholder when it comes to answering health questions. You make sure the sale's made before you call the Tele-Underwriting department. The last thing the underwriter is going to do is try to sell the policy. We got to make sure we do that before we get them involved. So some helpful tips, I think, for you and I are making sure the sale's made before we call. Make sure if the client has a little hearing difficulty, you let the underwriter know that up front. You know, say, Adriana, Miss Jones wears hearing aids. She doesn't hear real well sometimes, so kind of speak up a little so she can hear you. And make sure your client's ready for the interview also. Make sure they know their Social Security number and have available their Medicare number if it's different. Sometimes they're different. They're not usually, but sometimes they are. Make sure they have their banking information ready. All we need from the bank information is their routing number and their account number, but they need to have that so they don't have to get up and get it every time the underwriter asks them for one of these issues, because that's going to slow things down. It's going to frustrate everybody, and that way everything flows smoothly. So prepare the client for the interview. Prepare yourself for the interview, because the first time you do this, it's a little intimidating, but once you get used to it, you'll probably not want to do it any other way. Just make sure you don't coach the client. Everything will go smooth. The people on the phone are extremely good with working with our policyholders. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the electronic app, and then I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to show it to you on the screen on your agent portal, and then I'll let you get back to work here. So again, if you've had any questions up to this point, get them in there to Todd Weiss, and he will get those answered for you, and we'll try to get you in and out of here pretty quickly. Okay, so the electronic app is completed online by you, the agent, with the exception of any medical or banking information. So when I show you this application here in a minute, you'll see there's no medical questions on it, no banking information. We're going to call and get that for you. So you complete it online, and underwriting will call your client within minutes, could be no more than 24 hours, to help complete that application, and the results get emailed to you, the agent. I wrote one in the morning the other day and had an answer at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon that had already been approved. So here's where this can really be beneficial to you. Let's say that you remember I showed you the app there a minute ago and all the 1 through 10. If you've done all this on your agent portal, or if you're sitting there and you have a hotspot and have the internet access, you can do it right there in their home. But let's say you don't have internet access, so you fill out a paper app and you go back to your office and you enter it at the office. You still move that underwriting call to 24 hours instead of the old snail mail to where you fax an app in, it goes into queue, and it gets processed in order. By using the electronic app, you move up to no more than a 24-hour approval or decline. And guys, nothing is more important to you and I than a quick underwriting decision, because policyholders get antsy when we walk out the door. So let's assume that you've got a hotspot in the home and you're filling out the application as you go, and you're logging all the information. Then once you hit the submit button, you can do a 3-way call, wait about, it says 5-10 minutes. By no means do I wait 10, I might wait 3 or 4. And you call the underwriting department and you finish completing the application. Well, you've already sent all the information in, so underwriting goes from about a 20 to 25-minute phone call down to a 9 to 10-minute phone call, and you get that policy number issued immediately. So the app and anytime you, no matter how you do it, a full telephonic app, electronic app, you're going to get a copy of the app and the policy when it comes out. Commissions get paid quickly. So it's a huge benefit to you and I to be able to get on there and do this online express app. So I'm going to kind of show you what your agent website looks like, and then we'll get you in and out of here because I know everybody's busy. This is your copy of your agent portal. You hit your support tab. At the bottom of that support tab, you're going to have an Online Express app pop up. You're going to log onto that Online Express app. It's going to click on Start Application, and it says their applications remain on the tracker until 30 days after the policy effective date. And once you submit that app, you can't modify it online. You can call in, make some changes, but you can't do it online. So all the states that you're approved in will pop up, so you pick the state that you're in, and that state form will, that application, if you pick an Arizona app, the state, the Arizona app will load. Whatever state you pick up, the app for that state's going to load. Then as you can see, you're going to get a copy of that. This is a Michigan app right here. So the application date will be the day that you click there. So if you did it today, it would have today's date on there instead of 6/8/15. And anything that has a required asterisk sign beside has to be filled out. But as you can see, everything on there is the applicant's gender, his title, his name. Is it a guaranteed issue or open enrollment? If it's select a button, a drop-down menu will pick up and drop down and says if it's open enrollment or guarantee issue, then you're going to click one of those. Once that menu drops down, you're going to put your requested effective date in there. A calendar will drop down, you put in your dates. Very, very easy process. Like I said, I can do it, so I know about everybody on here can do it. Where do you want the policy sent? To you or the applicant. When you hit select, that's what's going to drop down there, you or the applicant. Then you fill in your household discount. That little part of the app that you've seen, is there more than, but you got to be over age 30. You got to put their name, social security number in there. You just type that in there, and you just keep right on going down through there, entering all their information. The applicant's social security number, his Medicare number will drop down. Now stop and look at that where it says Medicare claim number, and a lot of people say, well, why is there 3 boxes there? You got 1, 2, and 3. The reason there's 3 boxes there is because every now and then you're going to run into somebody's, like a railroad Medicare person, their number is going to be in front of their social security number, not behind it. Probably 98 to 99% of all the apps that you're going to write is going to be the social security number in the middle block and their letter A or whatever it is. Could be D for deceased, but it'll be there in the back. So that's why there's 3 little bars there. Anyway, the applicant title, the applicant's name, their date of birth, you just keep right on moving through the application. Some of this will auto-fill. You've got places there where it says daytime phone, that is required. We've got to have there. If they got a cell phone, you want to put that in there as optional, put that in there. Down here, if you're sitting there talking to somebody and you want a phone call, say this afternoon at 2 o'clock, put it in there, tell your policyholder, give us an hour on either side of that because, we never know. We may have 50 calls come in that hour. We may have 20 calls come in that hour. So depending on the workload, give us an hour either way of the time that you select. We'll try to do our best to be right there on that time. Keep moving right on through the application. Medicare Part A effective dates, Medicare Part B effective dates. There's calendars that drop down when you hit those 2 select buttons, and they are required, so you have to fill that out. And then you'll go right on through until you place for you to sign and date it. If you wrote it in Kansas City, Missouri, you type Kansas City, Missouri right there. Type your name where it says producer signature. As you can see, I've got my name there on my email address. And then you hit submit. Once you hit submit, and you expect that underwriting call to come back to you. If you take a look at that, we had that up there before. Now the only two things the underwriter really has to take any time with is the medical questions and the premium administration. Everything else you've already filled out and sent to us. So this can be used to your advantage in 2 or 3 different ways. Let's say you're kitchen table selling and you're behind for your next appointment. You simply explain to your policyholder, Ms. Jones, I was a little late getting here, as you well know. I said I'd be here at 10 o'clock. It was almost 10:30 when I got here. I did call you and let you know ahead of time. However, I'm still way behind, so what I would like to do with your permission, remember I'm kitchen table selling here, I said I'm going to take this information back on and enter it on my agent portal. You should expect a call tomorrow at 1 o'clock, the time we discussed, and they'll get the health questions asked to you again that we've already covered, and you've already told me the answer is no to all of them. They're going to re-verify them, and then they'll get your banking information. So if that's okay with you, I would like to do that. Now, why do I want to do that? Because I'm already behind time. I want to go back to my office that night or first thing in the morning and re-enter it on my agent portal, hit submit, and then I'm going to get my underwriting call done that day. So that's going to save me a tremendous amount of time if I am crunched for time. Let's say I'm not crunched for time and I got plenty of time and I've got a hot spot there and I've entered all this at the kitchen table and I hit submit. Now I can pick up the phone in a couple of minutes, call the underwriting department and say, hey, this is Bill Ellsworth. I just submitted an application on Mary Jones. She says, okay, here it is. They'll go through a few questions on me to verify I'm up to date. They'll say, okay, put Miss Jones on the phone. They're going to verify to make sure she is who she says she is, Social Security number, and a couple of things, just a couple of identifiers. They're going to move right into the medical questions, the prescription information, and the premium administration. And that will cut your time in the home down, on the phone down, to about 10 to 12 minutes instead of 15 to 25. So you can use it that way. Just a great, great tool. I use the Online Express app a lot. I love it. Saves me time, and it gets my policies issued quickly. So, as it says at the bottom, the only sections that not be completed online are the premium and the medical questions. So we don't have any, information floating out there for their bank accounts and things like that. They'll get that, write it down, and then they'll send you an email, let you know the policy's been issued. Now, we have extended our underwriting hours for AEP. We did this last year. We got a lot of good feedback on it. So you can see from the Eastern time, it's usually at 12 hours. Now we're open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. Central time, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Mountain time, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Saturdays, we're even open on Saturdays now for a short window from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Depending on how busy they are on Saturday, they may shut that down at noon, but there will always be somebody there till at least 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, depending on the time zone. So we are trying to help you guys get that business issued and out the door because, as you well know, you get policies issued quickly. That keeps it on the books. Again, here are our states. We are currently considering some other states for 2017, and so far this is really, really going well for the GCU. We do appreciate you guys out there in the field that are helping us. It's a very, very good effort, and we know AEP is busy for everybody. Here is a contact sheet if you need that. It have the agency services number. That's right here in our office in Blue Springs, Missouri. Contracting is also right here in Blue Springs, Missouri. And your new business fax numbers if you want to fax it. Tele-Underwriting hotline. If you need this, we will get it to you. Don't hesitate to ask. Okay, guys, that's all I got. I know Todd's taking care of all the questions, and if you have a licensing issue, you can get a hold of Kendra or Cindy, either one. A lot of you have talked to them girls in the past. If you get supplies, that's right on the agent portal at GCU Supplies at GCUMS at agency at GCUUSA.com. That's a long one. That's a copy and paste for me. Anyway, guys, I appreciate your time. I wanted to get in and out of here in 45. I'm right on time. So if you have any issues or need us for anything for AEP, please don't hesitate to call. We're here to help you any way we can to get this business issued. Take care. Have a great selling season, and we'll talk with you soon. Thanks. Bye.